What happens when history speaks in its own voice? Not through textbooks, not through statistics, but through memory. This is the story of Cudjo Lewis, told by Zora Neale Hurston, one of the last living survivors of the Atlantic slave trade.
Barracoon walls couldn't bury the name, 'cause Sola survived through sorrow and pain. From Africa's soil to the ocean's chain, still held his story through the storm and rain. They called him cargo, but he carried a soul, a people, a language, a life made whole. From the ships to Africa town's ground, his voice still lives when the drums resound.
Before the chains in the ocean cries, 'cause Sola lived beneath African skies. In West Africa where the culture grew, learning traditions the ancestors knew. Village life with rhythm and pride, family and language side by side. Not slaves yet, but human beings free, with identity, history, community. Then warfare shattered a peaceful land. Raiders and violence changed the plan. Captured young with others too, dragged from the life he once knew. Barracoon prison holding the chain, waiting for ships built on human pain. That's where the title comes from today, a holding cage before life sailed away. Remember the name, before the chains, history began, before the ships came in. Remember the name, before the chains, history began, before the ships came in. Then came the ship across the sea, the Clotilde carrying misery. Even after slavery was banned by law, greed still moved despite what they saw. Packed below deck where the light grew thin, bodies treated less than skin. Middle passage filled with cries, families broken before their eyes. Arriving in Alabama land, sold and forced by another man's hand. Working fields under brutal sun, freedom delayed though the war would come. Then emancipation finally arrived, but surviving chains been learning to survive. No land, no payment, promises thin, and still had to rebuild life again. Across the sea, still carried memory from the pain and loss. He rebuilt across the sea, still carried memory from the pain and loss. He rebuilt across. So Sola and others made a choice, build their own town, reclaim their voice. Africa town rose from the ground, African roots still deeply found. Language and customs held with care, trying to keep the homeland there. A community born from surviving the trade, proof that identity never fully fades.
Years later, Zora Neale Hurston came near, listening closely with respect sincere. Not changing his words to fit elite style, but preserving his voice mile by mile. That's what makes Barracoon stand apart. History told straight from the heart, not just what happened, but how it felt. The human story history often melts. For students now, understand this key: memory protects humanity, because when voices disappear from you, history can lose what's deeply true. Barracoon truth, let the story breathe, honor the lives history tried to leave. From Africa's shores to the western ground, 'cause Sola's voice still echoes loud. Remember the past, protect the flame, say the people's true name. From the ships to the future we shape today, the memory still lights the way.
Cudjo Lewis survived the slave trade, but more importantly, he survived long enough to tell the story himself. And because of that, we can still hear him.